In this lesson, we move one step further and clarify something fundamental. 5S is not about cleanliness or aesthetics. 5S is a tool for reducing waste and improving process stability. In Lean, we talk a lot about waste. Searching, unnecessary movement, waiting, errors, rework, excess inventory, and frustration. What many companies do not realize is that most of this waste starts directly at the workplace, where there are no clear rules, no standards, and no visual control. 5S works as a foundation. It makes problems visible, and once problems are visible, we can start using other productivity tools, such as standard work, problem solving, TPM, SMED, Kanban, or visual management. So please remember, 5S does not end at the workplace. 5S enables improvement. In this lesson, I will show this using elementary and everyday examples from supermarkets, offices, and real workplaces, so you clearly see the mechanism. No rules, everyone works differently, waste grows, productivity and safety decrease. Let's start with a place we all know very well, the supermarket. A supermarket is a perfect everyday example of 5S in action. First, stock transparency and order. Customers and employees can immediately see what is available and what is missing. There is no guessing and no searching. This is precisely what we want in a company. When materials, tools, or documents are visible, we eliminate the waste of searching and checking. Second, practical layout and positioning. Frequently used products are easy to reach. Heavy items are placed safely, and aisles are designed to minimize unnecessary movement. This directly reduces motion and transportation waste, the same logic we apply at a workstation. Third, cleanliness and hygiene. In a supermarket, cleanliness is not decoration. It is safety and quality. In industrial and office environments, cleanliness also acts as an inspection. Dirt often hides leaks, defects, damage, and abnormal situations. Finally, consistent procedures and continuous improvement. A supermarket works well because rules are precise and repeatable. Replenishment, FIFO, labeling, and visual standards. And this is the key message. 5S works only when it becomes part of a daily routine, just like in a supermarket. That is when it truly starts reducing waste. This slide shows a significant psychological effect. When a situation concerns us personally and the risk is high, we do not accept disorder. Look at an operating room. Nobody says, "The tools can be anywhere. We will find them somehow." Here, organization, cleanliness, standards, and sequence are non-negotiable. Safety depends on them. Now compare this with many workplaces where disorder is often treated as normal. People say, "It has always been like this," or "somehow it works." But somehow it works usually means time wasted searching, more errors and rework, higher stress and fatigue, increased accident risk, dependence on specific individuals. 5S changes this mindset. It shows that disorder is not about aesthetics. It is about cost, risk, and instability. This slide complements the previous one. When we are not the direct users of a workplace, it is much easier for us to say, "Yes, this is disorganized." This is precisely what happens during 5S implementation. External observers immediately see waste, while people working at the station often defend the current setup because they are used to it. That is why 5S must be implemented with the right approach. We are not looking for guilty people. We are looking for process weaknesses. We do not say, "There is disorder because someone is careless." We say, "There is disorder because there are no clear rules, no standards, no visual management, and no defined locations." This shifts the discussion from personal behavior to process improvement, and that is where real waste reduction begins. This slide illustrates a convenient rule. The more people use a workplace, the more critical clear rules become. If there are no organizational rules, each shift creates its own way of working. Shift 1 has its rules. Shift 2 has different ones. Shift 3 another. And there are no rules at all. What does this create? Time is wasted because each shift starts with reorganizing and checking. Errors occur because tools, materials, and unfinished work are left in different places. Conflicts because people blame each other instead of the system. Quality problems occur because the process is unstable. 5S supports waste reduction by creating a common language at the workplace. Not your way or my way, but one standard way. This picture shows 3 typical types of waste at the same time. First, lack of identification. If we don't know what something is, we lose time searching and verifying, and the risk of using the wrong part increases. Second, needed or not. Items remain just in case. They occupy space, mix with necessary items, slow down work, and increase the risk of mistakes. This is excess inventory at the workstation. Third, safety hazards. Disorder increases the risk of trips, injuries, poor ergonomics, and accidents. In Lean, safety is not a separate topic. Safety is a condition for productivity. 5S addresses these issues not by cleaning, but by clear identification, defined rules for what stays and what goes, designated locations, and elimination of hazards. That is direct waste reduction. Now let's move to the office environment. Many people think 5S is only for production, but offices have their own waste. Searching for documents and information, multiple document versions, waiting for approvals, rework due to outdated data, and chaos on desks and in digital folders. The questions on this slide are intentional. Do I have easy access to the keyboard? Ergonomics and flow. Do I know what is in this drawer? Transparency. What do we actually find here? Lack of standards. There is also a common stereotype. The cleaner the desk, the less work someone does. This belief kills 5S in offices. The truth is the opposite. The better organized the desk and information, the less time is wasted on non-value-adding activities. This slide presents a simple but powerful audit exercise. Open a filing cabinet and answer 2 questions. What is the document at the top of the pile? What is the document at the bottom? If you cannot answer at least one of them, there is no standard, and no standard means waste. What kind of waste? Searching and waiting. Rework due to wrong or outdated documents. Overproduction from reprinting. And even risk when sensitive data is poorly managed. 5S in the office is not about a nice desk. It is about fast, reliable access to information, independent of the person. Finally, a straightforward question. Which company would you prefer to work for, before or after 5S? Notice that this is not just about appearance. A workplace after 5S usually means less stress, less searching, fewer mistakes, higher safety, easier onboarding of new employees, and a more professional working environment. And now the key link to this lesson. A stable, organized workplace supports all productivity tools. Only then does standard work make sense. Only then can Kanban work. Only then can we reliably measure and improve processes. 5S is an investment in the working environment, and the working environment directly impacts waste, quality, safety, and productivity. At this point, it is essential to look at 5S to make waste visible before attempting to eliminate it. In many organizations, waste has existed for so long that it has become normal. People get used to excess materials, unnecessary movements, and constant searching. 5S organizes the workplace so that what is genuinely needed is exposed and what only consumes time, space, and attention is eliminated. Once waste becomes visible, it can finally be discussed and addressed in a structured way. Overproduction rarely happens because people want to create waste. It usually appears to protect the process by producing extra just in case to avoid shortages or downtime. The result is excess inventory that must be stored, tracked, moved, and controlled. 5S introduces clarity by defining quantities, locations, and responsibilities. When limits are visible and clear, overproduction stops being a default solution and becomes a conscious decision. Every unnecessary movement of materials incurs costs and risks. In disorganized environments, transport often exists because items are stored wherever space is available, not where they are used. Employees spend time walking, searching, and asking others for information. 5S establishes fixed locations and the principle of storing items close to the point of use. As a result, transport becomes part of the process rather than a symptom of disorder. In many processes, only a small portion of time is spent on activities that truly add value. The rest is waiting for tools, documents, materials, or information. Often, the root cause is the lack of clear organization and standards. 5S does not eliminate waiting entirely, but it significantly reduces it. When everything is easy to find and immediately available, work flows more smoothly, and frustration decreases. Poor workplace organization directly affects people. Frequent bending, lifting, awkward movements, and constant visual searching increase fatigue and reduce concentration. Over time, this leads to errors, lower quality, and even safety risks. 5S helps design workplaces that support the worker rather than forcing them to adapt to disorder. Better ergonomics lead to better performance and more sustainable results. Organizations often introduce multiple improvement tools simultaneously. Without an organized environment, however, these tools are difficult to sustain. 5S creates a common foundation and a shared way of thinking about workspaces. This stability makes other lean solutions easier to apply and maintain as they operate in a predictable, visible environment. 5S is not a one-time action or a checklist to complete. It is a systematic approach that combines technical rules with human behavior. Over time, it builds habits. Order and discipline stop being imposed and start becoming natural. This is why 5S supports long-term improvement rather than short-term results. An organized workplace influences more than efficiency. When people understand the purpose of the rules and participate in shaping their workspace, responsibility and engagement increase. 5S strengthens pride in one's work and environment. It becomes part of organizational culture, not just a visual standard. Finally, 5S should be seen as a continuous journey. The goal is not perfection, but consistent progress. Each improvement increases process stability and makes further development easier. This ongoing discipline keeps 5S adequate and relevant over many years.